Oh, are we live? Hi, live. I'm Mika. Welcome everyone to RD5, where it's Showcase Week, where we're showcasing Crit Award nominated solo games. Today, I am playing Deify, which uses tarot cards. In Deify, you create a deity, and it's their story from birth to rising power to finally their decline. So, hi, I'm Mika. I do things. I'm a director producer here at RD5. And currently, it's a little weird that I'm by myself. I mean, I've done this before. It doesn't make it any less odd. To start off, so the deity I plan on creating is actually a deity I created about 10 years ago. But really, it's just a deity in name. That was a dumb thing to say. Or they are not fleshed out. They just get mentioned. And so I'm going to read a short story to you that I wrote. It's the very first time that this deity was introduced to the world of Mika, to my personal Mika lore. So, this story is called Surrealist Girl Showdown. Let me take a swig of my comfort Coke. Excuse me. The goddess is like cutting infinity by half, and she wears the universe around her body like the robe of a monk. She sits like a monk too, crisscross applesauce with an elbow on either knee, two hands facing down, index fingers pointed out, and the other phalanges closed together. Two arms are raised triumphantly, holding daggers honey glazed with golden shimmer, reflections of planets, and her last two arms are outstretched, welcoming. There she sits in the pink sky over a city burning like a marshmallow left unchecked. The city skyline is demolished, buildings turn to abstract and jagged art pieces that don't make sense. It is literally the second best and most satisfying thing N has ever seen. It pisses her off that anybody would try and ruin this for her. "Fuck her right in the ear," N mutters, gangly fingers choking the neck of her acoustic guitar, nose flaring, teeth baring, curly hair fraying. She widens her stance on the tilted roof of the long-abandoned Gruffy Mart, debris clawing underneath her combat boots. She shouts, "Fuck you right in the ear, oh! You hear me? Right in the ear." O's cornflake blonde hair runs red, dyed with the blood from her wounds, from N's wounds. She flicks some of it off of her drumstick, rolls her head over to stare down N. "You reek of old spice and desperation," O replies rhythmically. She wipes the blood off her hand and onto her navy jumpsuit. "This isn't fuck buddy one night stand bullshit," N says, stepping forward. It does nothing to bridge the gap between them. They stand on the tops of opposing crumpled buildings, a valley of broken lampposts ready to impale and course rubble between them. "I love the goddess. I follow her. I watch her. Her soul power is my soul power. We're in this together." "Sorry, I wasn't paying attention," O says. She holds her drumsticks like twin blades ready for action. "I was too busy objectifying the goddess to listen to your groupie nonsense. And I learned a thing. Look, see? Wave your chicken arms, catcall her. The goddess doesn't acknowledge anybody. Going through you to get to her unnoticed should be easy, painfully easy. Gag me with the silver spoon that's shoved up your ass." Beat. That didn't come out right." N grits her teeth. Smoke comes out of her nostrils. She stomps a leather boot into the cracked floor of the building she's on, sending out a shockwave that kicks up debris. O raises an arm up to cover her eyes so dust won't get in them. N takes this as her time to strike. She puts her goggles over her eyes and shoots off of her building, leaving behind a trail of sparkles in the shape of skulls. O almost doesn't see it coming, the swing of N's guitar. One long arc that starts from the ground, goes up past N's shoulder, and, without mercy, drops down on O. The entire movement is like throwing a baseball, and O barely has enough time to cross her drumsticks to block the assault. Sparkles, stars, and skulls spark off of the impact. The ground supporting O is giving way. She doesn't have much time before it is completely shattered, and O, of course, can't resist making another jab. Pillow talk, N? O says. Nothing matters to her. No one matters to her. You're insignificant. Shut it, you twee rocker toad! Twang. Thump. O pushes away from the standoff, the force hurling N and O in opposite directions. O sticks a landing on the side of a skyscraper, crouches like a frog, cracks splitting into the limply phallic building. Skin still tingling from the reverberated chords of N's guitar, O pushes off, shooting towards N in a flurry of sparks, and the two meet in the middle and create a choking haze of stars, sparkles, and skulls, a glittery miasma that goes on and on and on, a whiz, a bang, wood on string, until they are pushed back by the force of one of the impacts. Don't interrupt the professional, N. O's calming voice raises in volume in direct correlation to the number of times her drumstick struck N's guitar. I'll nibble her soul power, let it sit in my mouth and melt, savor it until it's mixed with mine. She and I will be one. You're insignificant to her, and then you'll be insignificant to me. N does not take this well. Do you think you're the oogie boogie peeking through the curtains? She roars. She's mine. I need her. I wanted this, and she came. Okay? You think you have the flair for her? All you have is a smolder. O finally loses her cool, her face burning bright, eyes inflating. Hey there, sugar sugar. This right here is from the asshole of my heart. Fuck you. Let me fucking absorb the goddess. She is mine. They meet in the middle again, create flashing sparks again, and send each other careening into buildings again. Crumbling, smashing again, debris in the sky again. There is no stopping the riot. The strained, raw music reverberating from each impact. A deep twang, a splitting hollow. Thump, 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 thump again. Thick dust replaces the air. The goddess is untouched, of course. The goddess is perfect, still. And the goddess begins to take action. Finally. The goddess opens her mouth, sucking in the dirty air like milk into a straw. She holds her breath. A nauseating sound emanates from her body like she is the perfect tuning fork of time and space. N and O stop their brawl, one drumstick cracking against the force of the guitar, in awe of the deity. Danger is in sight. Neither care. Caring, in that second, does not exist for them. And nothing exists for the goddess. She's finishing the job. N's greedy green eyes take over her face, bloodshot, pupils shrinking, adrenaline replacing every fluid in her body. Oh, not if I can eat her first, O says, the wicked Cheshire grin. With a bend of the knees, she leaps up, frog-like, leaving the trail of necessary sparkles and stars, and N jumps after her. There is no way in the current health state of the city O is going to get her way. They leapfrog each other in sonic streams, their stars flying from the sky and illuminating the grody zombies in the crevices of smashed buildings. They are almost there. So close. And the goddess sings. There is nothing they can do. There is no time. There is the goddess, the punk rocker sonic vibration, and then nothing. And after the nothing, there is a room with a yellow wall and a bed. N and O sit on the bed, waiting, counting the seconds, minutes, hours, all while avoiding eye contact, while avoiding saying anything. N feels betrayed by the goddess, and O disappointed because she hadn't been able to absorb the goddess, and neither wants the other to say, "I told you so." So much time passes without either of them speaking to each other, one giant quiet game that they were winning. But it is driving them insane, and they eventually turn to face each other. They share in boredom, And there's one universal thing people with boredom do. So they hate fuck. Fingers explore, bodies grind, there is no kissing, there are no smiles. It is a game to see who will moan first, who will come first, which will somehow show who is right about the goddess, who deserves her. And this continues for who knows how long, because time and space no longer exist. Neither one enjoys it. And so that is the story where the goddess was originally created. So I wrote that 10 years ago, and boy howdy am I saying things I need to edit. But now we will get on to the game. Haha. So, like I said, this game uses tarot cards, and I just lost where I had this pulled up. Here we go. So, crafting the deity. The deity is comprised of two parts: their attributes and their characteristics. The attributes are mechanical, as they have the most influence on the god and their personality, and are perpetually in flux. Characteristics, meanwhile, are how they are physically seen and represented in the mortal realm, and are consistent traits of your god. And so there are three types of attributes in Deify: domains, epithets, and practices. The domains are the aspects of the mortal world that the god controls. The epithets are the names mortals use when referring to the god. And the practices are the ways in which followers of the deity perform their worship. And so I'll be following prompts to kind of figure all this out, and I'll be jotting things down in sentences, etc. Posture check. Thank you. And all right, so first up, we always start with the Fool. I'm using my Haunted Appalachia deck. So, the Fool. The Fool. You are just a thought, but that thought is enough. You have been conjured into being. Describe your first worshiper and how they came up with your first practice. What were they thinking of when you were created? That becomes your first domain. Lastly, what do they call this new figure that they have imagined? That becomes your first epithet. This worshiper becomes your first champion. So, should I go with N as the first? Maybe? No? Should probably actually look at chat when I ask that. Rah-rah. Oh, thank you. Okay, yeah, N. I'll make N the original. So along with drawing the major arcana, while playing, you draw, I do believe, 3 cards, 3 minor arcana cards. And each suit represents something different. So, give me just 1 second. I want to make sure that I'm doing this right. So it is 3 cards. Players can choose to blah, blah, blah. Basic rules. Each card going. Yeah, 3 cards from the minor arcana deck. So for all of us to remember, cups represent the worshippers. How do believers pray to you? What kind of altars are built, etc.? Wands concern your relationship with other gods. Swords dictate your champions, and pentacles determine how you interact with the mortal world. So, okay. You have been conjured into being. Describe your first worshiper and how they came up with their first practice. What were they thinking of when you were created? And I guess music? Not just music. Here we go. In one of the other stories I wrote about the goddess, which will actually be turned into is already an audio drama you can find if you look hard enough, but I'm making a sequel to it that I've spoken with Rara about and will be on The Heart is a Dungeon eventually. But the story is called The Phone Booth, kind of a boring name. People have been trying to get me to change it for a long time, because it's kind of a boring title. So in this, the goddess is in the sky, and the goddess transcends dimensions, time, and every so often the goddess will appear in the sky, and there are phone wires attached to her, and a phone booth will appear, and you're able to use this phone booth to talk to the dead. And this was inspired by an NPR story about the desert phone booth, which also talked about. Pretty sure that episode also talked about this other. So first, in the desert, there was just this random phone booth. Sometimes it would ring, and people would start making a trek out there to make phone calls and stuff. Just fun, silly fun. That's a good band name. It's an okay band name. And so the other one in Japan, after the Fukushima nuclear explosion, I do believe, there was, oh gosh, I hope I'm getting this right. People, there was, I think, a phone booth, or people would start making calls on this phone booth to talk to their deceased loved ones. And now I feel like that isn't right at all. I'm going to have to re-listen to this episode. I highly recommend. I'm pretty sure the episode itself is also called like the Mojave phone booth. I highly recommend it. It's obviously been a while since I've listened to it. And so that just gave me this inspiration, gave me another way to use the goddess. And so I think that's what N is doing. Let's see. There is no now. There is no ever. I feel like I should talk while I do this, because it's kind of boring to just watch me do this. So, there is no now, there is no never. N sings this as she strums her. Is the word janky rooted in something bad? Like how the term gypped is an insult to the Romani. Does anyone know this? Should I be the one to look this up? Well worn. DIY. I'll use the term DIY. So N sings this as she strums her DIY guitar far from her town. Even farther or further? Even, you can go with further. Even further. Even further from, what's a good name? Should this be like a fun made-up fantasy name? Denomina. That sounds dumb. Sorry, this is something I used to tell myself. Just write. Don't get stuck. I'll come back and add a name. Oh, Janky. Okay, thank you, Rara. I'm going to add Janky in there. Janky DIY guitar from her town, even further from a question mark. That's right. That's right. Is no now. Okay. There is no now, there is no ever. N sings this as she strums her janky DIY guitar far from her town, even further from Redacted, who was just here yesterday or the day before. No, that's right. There is no now. So how could there have been a yesterday? Redacted was gone. That was it. She, like the now, didn't really exist. So why were the pangs in her heart coming out? Do you pang a guitar as well? Pluck? Yeah, as plucks on the guitar. Music couldn't reach nothing. Which reminds me, Sufjan Stevens in his album Carrion Lowell, which, I mean, I think is the album. I mean, some people might say Come On Feel the Illinois or Age of Odds, but I think it's Carrion Lowell. But in one of his, the whole album is him kind of dealing with his mother's death. And at the end of one of the songs, he says, you know, like, why am I singing these songs if you'll never hear them? So I think that's how N is feeling right now. Man, my tenses are all over the place. So why were the pangs in her heart? Music can't reach nothing. Let's see. La 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 la. This really doesn't have to be this long. I should wrap this portion up soon. Music can't reach nothing. It doesn't mean she shouldn't try. What tense am I even using? N sings this. So kind of present tense. And, she talks. Talk sings. Sing talks. And there's a connection. She can't hear per se, but she's there and knows it. And there's another presence, some thing making the connection. And feels the odd supersonic sensation tingling through her and stops strumming, placing her ear against the hole in her guitar. I don't actually know if that hole has a name. That little hole, yeah. And so when I write out the goddess's name, it's always in brackets. So some goddess, the goddess. Was there. Helping. Assisting. Making N feel. If for a beat, whole again. I think that kind of answers that question. That becomes your first epithet. So yeah, first epithet's just the goddess. There we go. All right. Got a lurky lurk. Sweet. Now the questions I have to answer are why I have so many tabs open. So N becomes the first champion. When you finished answering this prompt, make sure you write down your first domain, epithet, and practice. Somewhere they can be easily organized. And record the story of your first champion. Remember to leave yourself... Okay. Excuse me. Next steps to determine your characteristics. You begin the game with one of each type, except for symbols, of which you start with 3. After you've decided on your attributes and characteristics and answered your first prompt, it is time to begin. Pull your first minor arcana card and begin your journey through divinity. So... Oh god, there are all these words being tossed at me. So... Yeah, first domain, epithet, and practice. So the first domain is just anything you can speak to. Is that it? Is that what domain means in this case? Hold on. Domain could have... Certain symbols are... Yeah, domains, the aspects of the mortal world that the god controls. It could be from anything from women to rain to death, and so I think just sound. Sound is her domain. Her epithet is just the goddess. And then practices. Speaking to the dead. In general. It doesn't matter how necessarily you do it. It's just speaking to the dead. Let's see. So by the end of this prompt, I write down first domain, epithet, and practice. Record the story of my champion. Next steps determine your characteristics. So, my characteristics are... What are my characteristics? What? Need to go back up and look. Well, these attributes are constantly altered, blah, blah. Their characteristics tend to be more static, representing those parts of your god that exist across different cultures and time periods. There are 4 types of characteristics: sacred places, symbols, appearance, and associated deities. Okay. So... Okay. So, let me... gonna have to fix what I had. Let's see. Characteristics. Make that go buttony. Include sacred places. Symbols. Appearance and associated deities. Boom. Okay. So going back to this, the next step is to determine your characteristics. Okay, start with 3 symbols. Okay. What symbols should I go with here? The symbols are elements of the mortal world that are protected and revered by your followers. There's likely a story attached to your physical connection to the mortal world, such as a belief that you often appear to humanity as a specific creature, or your creation of a medicinal herb during a plague. On a smaller scale, a symbol may just be an object related to your domain or epithet. For example, if you have the harvest as a domain, So what would be good symbols? I think wires in general. Something that they protect. Phones, I guess, could be sacred in that case. And that was a big old swig. Wires, phones, and what should it be, Baxter? What are your thoughts? No, you're a sleepy butt. Okay. I should just pick something. Wires, phones. I guess just guitars. Yeah. Appearance. Okay, I rubbed my nose too hard. I hope I don't get a bloody nose. Fun fact, because I'm so high up in elevation, I get bloody noses so easily. Like growing up, sometimes I wake up with blood all over my pillowcase. So I described the appearance in the story, but like, again, like 10 years later, as I read that, I feel like that isn't appropriate, I guess, because I'm not... I mean, like, it feels like very Indian. In India, you know, you get the way I described her. I know actually nothing about Indian deities. I'm gonna, when I edit that story, that's one of the first things I'm gonna change. But she does have multiple arms. In a comic book I did, where she was in it, she still had multiple arms, but she actually rode on a horse and had a guitar. And so I think that's her appearance. Women riding, women with 6 arms riding a horse, holding a guitar. You can't tell if she's menacing or loving, but she probably just doesn't care. Honestly, I feel like she was created on accident. Maybe not even a true deity, you know? She just is, you know? She's like cutting infinity by half. It's hard to really quantify her. Anyway, associated deities, we'll do one. What's a good associated deity? Come on, chat. Pop off. Give me a suggestion. Maybe a god of microphones? I mean, there can be gods who are similar to each other. And so both sound, yeah, but the goddess represents so much more than that. Like many deities throughout time who, for whatever reason, represent a billion different things, or even some Catholic saints represent like a billion things. Ooh, god of nightclubs. God of nightlife. Whose name is Detestero popped in my head. I don't know what that means, but that's his name now. Detestero. Alright. Now, I pick 3 minor arcana cards. Got them right here. And I'll start answering those prompts. The first one we have is the Queen of Swords. Going to the PDF. Excuse me. Let's see. Here are the prompts. In the birth phase, if we go to... I have to scroll down. Page, Knights. Queen, here we go. Queen of Swords. Leaders are not born. They are made. And you see one in the making. You offer yourself to them, giving them a chance to benefit from your guidance. And they happily accept. Describe your new champion and your lofty aspirations for them. Ooh, new champion already. Jeez. Drama to the max. Okay, let me make my space one birth. Queen of Swords. The new champion. I mean, should this new champion just go ahead and be... No, I think O is for endgame. So, the new champion... That... Let's see. Leaders are made, and you see one in the making. So let's say... Aster. Oh, melody's good. Let's go with Aster. Aster. Plain and tall is used in something, like someone plain and tall. Sarah, is it Sarah plain and tall? Is that line? So I can't use that. So Aster. Yeah, Sarah plain and tall. So Aster. Short and Aster. I don't think I can make anything right now that's catchy like Sarah plain and tall. That's right. Young, short, young, artistic. Oh, Jayden, hello. Come join me as I am alone. Aster, short, young, artistic. Let's see. Never quite here. Never quite there. A little uncaring. Yet always thinking of others. No. About others. Likes, hates, but most importantly, their connections. Knowing their needs before they do. Though, of course, at this point in her life, she does not care to inform them. Let's see. Oh, Jaden, much love. Glad you appreciate like your game of Vampire the Masquerade. I've played it twice now. I'm in a short campaign, and I'm starting to dig it. Yeah, I'm assuming you ran it because I feel like you're always running. You're probably not here to hear this, but if you are, I'd very much like you to tell me your experience running it. So I'm sure that's a much different experience than playing it. And I guess GMing is often a different experience. I'm just keeping myself from writing this. Though of course, at the point she did not care to inform them. The goddess, I think, yeah, at the start the goddess did care. The goddess was not. It wasn't like in the short story yet. The goddess saw this as a way to bring people to her. I'm going to end it there because I feel like I need to move on. Because it's the whole perfectionism thing. I remember in grad school, I told, or I guess this was after grad school, when I was like really figuring out like, oh, I have OCD. I was talking to one of my best friends, Emily, and was talking about like, oh, like one of the symptoms is, just perfectionism and stuff. I'm like, I don't really know if I'm a perfectionist. And she stared at me and said, Mika, I once saw you spend an hour perfecting a single sentence. And so that's what I'm thinking about right now. Like, I could very easily spend an hour going over just this last sentence. Anyway, we're going to the second card, which is the Three of Cups. Now, let's see what the prompt is. I have to scroll back up. I love how thorough this is, but it's like most guidebooks, it's annoying to have to flip through to get to everything. Three of Cups. Your worship has changed from individual practice to a widespread faith. Who was the first? Oh my God. Who was the first leader of your followers? You may choose to appoint your current champion as this leader, or add a champion if you do not have one. I have 2 champions, so I'm not gonna make a new one. Who was the first leader of your... So I'm gonna say it was... I guess for now we're abandoning N. N is still there, but I think Aster now. So I think the first leader, yeah, it was definitely Aster. This is going to be quick. 3 of Cups. As Aster grew, she became conduit for the goddess. She finally started telling people how to heal, even if they didn't realize they needed to. All they had to do was talk, and the goddess connected. Aight. Now the Page of Swords. Page of Swords. Is the page at the start or at the end? No, Ace is at the start, of course. Page is before Queen. Here we go. Yes. Page of Swords. It is an experiment. Many of your fellow gods have tried it, but you never have. You want a child, a mortal child, to better understand humanity. Describe this child. How did they come to be? They become your new champion. God fucking damn it. Add them to your list of associated deities and lose a domain as you give up a fraction of your power to this new being. So let's look at my... Oh, sound is my only domain, though. I guess I'm giving up sound. Another... Okay, can I go back and retroactively say it was actually Aster? I mean, there's no rule saying I can't do that. Aster was actually her child. Yeah. How do you... Aurora. I don't know. What do you think, Silvia? Should it just secretly have been Aster this whole time? I'm gonna go easy on myself and just say it was Aster the whole time. Page of Swords. Unknown to Aster, she was actually child of the goddess. Born from sonic waves and flesh and blood. Maybe in sonic waves and flesh and reverb, but reverb is sonic waves. Maybe just flesh, blood, and reverb. That might sound kind of cool. Nah, I think I should start with the weird thing. So born from sonic waves and flesh and the soul of a 1920s operator booth. Now, I did shuffle the Arcana deck a bit, but I think for the sake of brevity, I'm just going to... There is a way in-game to... It tells you how to do a quick run, essentially, with just the 4 main cards you need for the main phases. And so I'm going to jump into the second phase, which is the Chariot. Let me... Chariot, Tower... Then the world. Okay, so where am I? Cool. Next, we start the prime phase, where a god settles into their power and understands how best to influence the world around them. Scrolling down, scrolling down. I'm out of Mika lore to give. Prime phase. So here we go. Chariot. For the Chariot, going to draw my 3 minor arcana cards. The first is the 8 of Swords. So sorry, I just got a text. 8 of Swords. Although freedom can be offered, it is up to the individual to accept it. You have removed any and all obstacles from your champion's path, and they are now able to do anything they desire, but they still hesitate. Why? And how do you feel, knowing your efforts may have been wasted? So I think crippling social anxiety, honestly. Because the way I was writing Aster there, she didn't care much for... Yeah, so... Aster, not so short. Not so short, but still young and more... Not so short, but still young and more autistic. Discovers maybe she is a little bit autistic. Coming from my own experience of neurodivergence, with the possibility of being autistic, but for sure having OCD and major anxiety disorder, I do believe that is Aster. So, not short, still young and more autistic. Discovers crippling anxiety. Being of divine birth saves no person from struggles of mental health and the failings of those around you. Things of those around you to help. That doesn't quite make sense, but she can no one because of distrust and the knowledge that imperfection in any leader is sometimes frowned upon. The goddess is sad for her child because imperfection makes a leader relatable. Not all want a relatable leader. It's true. But if Aster is to lead the sad, then Aster can be sad too. Slay. Okay. Next is the Nine of Wands. Let's see. Divine conflicts don't only exist between gods, but also between pantheons. As the mortals focus their prayers, the gods become greedy, desperate, and jealous. Tensions come to a head, and you find yourself in the middle of a war between deities. What is the aftermath, and what scars do you carry for the rest of your existence? Gain an epithet related to your actions during the struggle, but lose a domain as you struggle to survive the carnage. How am I supposed to get more domains if I only start off with one? I have not had a chance to recover any of them. So I am going to ignore that part for now. So I think after the war, the goddess became less caring. She used her powers to taunt the others. Abusing connection. And I think I think after this she loses, I think, the scar. Very simple, heavy-handed. She has now become living stone. That is her scar. Final prompt of this round, the Knight of Wands. Let's see. Knight of Wands. You have chosen one god to bind yourself to. This could be a marriage, but any commitment to another will work. How do you choose to celebrate this bond, and what changes about yourself and your persona once you are bound? Gain a new domain, find me, as well as a new practice to reflect these changes. Add the god to your list of associated deities if they are not already there. So, I think it is probably the god of nightlife. No, I think it's to be the original idea. The goddess of microphones. Let's see. What about... No! I accidentally closed out the friggin' PDF. Okay. Well... Scroll down. Knight of Wands. Birth. Let's get to the rise before we get to the fall. There we go. Prime. The prime phase. Knight of Wands. Okay. Alright. So, gain a new practice. Nope, that's the page. Here we go. Knight of Wands. Doesn't have to be marriage, but I think they are bound by a vow to help people get to their voices, get to where they need to go. So I think the new practice is speaking directly into things with microphones for the connection to work. So it becomes very specific. So I can get a new epithet. Nah. So for the new domain, instead of just sound, her domain is now shrunk to Voices of Desperation. No, I guess I'm supposed to cross it off, not completely delete it. Well, alright. It would help if I wrote that down. Knight of Wands, married to, or bound to, combined with Goddess of Microphones. Microphones now connect to the dead. Domain of the voices of the desperate, I think is what I said. All right. Now, on to the next phase, my dears. The Tower. The bad card. Jenna has arrived. God powers. See, Mika's doing a much more diligent job taking notes. Also, in my short story, I used the word reverb, the verb, way too much. I don't know how I didn't get dinged on that in class. Oh, now I rubbed my eyes. Now my contacts are wonky. Going back to this as we get to... This is the decline. This is so sad. All right. Well, the trois. So, card 16. Tower. Decline. The first is the 10 of Cups. So, 10 of Cups. How did I format this? No. Okay. Scroll down to the 10. 8, 9, 10. 10 of Cups. Mortals die. That is the way of things, but it does not stop the pain from coming. Lose your champion. Describe how your chosen died and how it felt to lose them. If you do not have a champion, okay. Unlike your previous losses, you refuse to acknowledge your grief and instead refuse to feel anything. Lose any attributes related to emotions, but gain one related to denial or numbness. So let's see. Let's see, what were my attributes? Okay, well, desperation's an emotion. So once again, my friggin' domain is changing. Okay, let's see. Format. Text. Strike through. So I guess the domain is now connection. All right, telesonic approximations. I'm a writer. I can make that make sense. So Aster, champion, the child, the artist, the one with major social anxiety. For any time to die is too soon for the divine. It was simple. One day, she thought of... Okay, so we're getting into mental health stuff right now, I guess. So very brief content warning. Let's see. Oh, it's break time right now, so a lot of you probably won't see this. Herself as nothing. And then became it. To the goddess, she was something. Everything. But now she, too, refused to let's see. But now she refused. I keep changing my frickin' tenses. Oh my god, what tense am I trying to write in? Yeah, I'm using present tense, so... Dies one day before her time for any time to die. It's too soon for the die. It was simple. She She was something, everything. But now she refuses to acknowledge it. Her stone skin grows thicker, crumblier, less stable, aged. Cool. The next card is the, oh boy, Nine of Swords. Warning for clown on this picture. Let's see. 9 of Swords. Boop, 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 boop. Nine of Swords. A line has been crossed. Where once you were proud of their ruthlessness, you are now shocked at your champion's cruelty. Oh my god. Again with the champion. Why is everything I'm getting about the champion? Like, I'm looking at the other prompts for the other suits, and like I somehow keep getting stuff related to champions. How did you realize they'd gone too far, and what did you do to stop them? Lose a champion, but gain an unwanted epithet or practice related to their actions. I think the unwanted practice is cutting in line, as dumb as that is. But it's N. And N declares her pain to be the worst. She is a champion. She speaks for the goddess, and therefore her needs must be met first. She kills any that oppose her. And the goddess inhales, and the goddess whistles. And thanks to the goddess, N is no more. All right. Finally, the King of Coins. Scrolling down, down, down. King of Coins. Coins are usually pentacles, right? Yes, coins are usually pentacles. Some mortals believe that kings and queens rule through divine right, but you know the truth. They are responsible for their own fate. And when a ruler's neglect of their people becomes too much, the people will rebel. Will you side with the royals or the rebellion? If you choose royalty, losing blah blah blah. If you choose revolution, lose the domains, practices, and epithets related to wealth and effort. Cool. I don't have any of those. And so the sorrow belongs to the masses. The sorrow is where the goddess once thrived, still thrives, and maybe will always thrive. For she is like cutting infinity by half. All right. And then finally we end with the world. Oh, well, okay then. Hold on. Your last worshiper has died, forgotten you, or worse, stopped believing. You feel yourself disappearing from this world. How did this happen? What is the last thread you hang on to as you fade into oblivion? The last thread is the battle between N and O. N, a descendant of the former N. Long down the line, as the world has been destroyed by humanity. N and O fight. N believing that through birthright the goddess is hers, and O just wants to absorb that last little bit of power of a dying god. And as they fight, with the goddess's last breath, she inhales and she whistles, and they are gone. And supposedly so is she, but with the being like this, being tied to grief, she shows up again, but elsewhere, and then elsewhere again, and elsewhere once more, because she is like cutting infinity by half. She is tied to everything, or half of everything, and connects it all to the end of existence, to the divine, to where those who sleep eternally end up. And that is the story of the goddess. All right. There's just something about possum grabbies. So I hope you enjoyed this game of Deify, this fun little solo game. I would be when I am in higher spirits, I hope to play this game again, but go on long. Yeah, that's the end. It ends with the world card, and it's because I didn't do the random drawing. It could have gone on much longer with drawing the other major arcana, but you know, these solo streams, we don't have them go on forever. Plus, I am tired and anxious and full of self-doubt, and you know, the human condition. I'm Mika, and gosh, I can still tell you can take the boy out of Mormonism, you can't take the Mormonism out of the boy. I feel like I just want to say, like, and we shall end with a prayer. Now fold your arms as I pray to the goddess. No, thank you, everyone. I am Mika, producer director here at RD5. I'm a Brazilian-American TTRPG performer, and I like typically naming my characters Lemon. And I didn't do that this time, though, because this was the story of the goddess, not of me. Next up for Roll D5, let me check the calendar. We have nope. When is our next thing? Is this it for the month? Silvia, the voice of God, please chime in. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central, Silvia, who did tech for tonight, thank you, Silvia, is playing, I guess, our final game. Okay. 4 small creatures such as thee, and then solo game. And then on Sunday, Jenna and An will be playing the last 2 solo games. So, please stay tuned for that. Next month, is next month Sad Month? I think next month is Sad Month. Wow. And then for me, you can find me. Oh, geez, you can see me at Gen Con. And tomorrow, I will be on Roll for Respawn early in the AM, 10 a.m. Mountain, for Wintry Hunger, which should be a ball. I don't know if it's a title like that, Wintry Hunger. Anyway, thank you, everyone. If you need to catch me right here, right now, then head on over to Spotify, where you can find me on The Heart is a Dungeon Season 2, where I play La La Lemon, or on the miniseries Hench on RP Jesters, where I play Lucas Lemon of the Eliminates, or you can catch me on Some of These Heroes, the Fate Makers, where I play Lemon Little Tart. And that's all she wrote. That's all the goddess wrote. For now. The Book of the Goddess. At some point, someday, on The Heart is a Dungeon, as she connects to the phone booths and connects those who are sad to those they have lost. Anyway, okay, bye. We're gonna raid into we're not raiding. It's too late at night. No, everyone's asleep now. This was me reading you a bedtime story. Now go to sleep. Go to fucking sleep, okay? Bye.